What you are witnessing is sheer desperation. These are thousands of unemployed Indians applying for a handful of jobs.
The Territorial Army is a military reserve force comprising part-time volunteers who support the Indian Army. Over 18,000 aspirants gathered here to compete for just 133 posts. The lack of proper arrangements made this struggle even tougher. Many spent the night on roads. When the situation spiraled out of control, the police resorted to a lathi charge to manage the crowd.
We've been seeing this happening for years now. 2 crore people chasing 90,000 government jobs, MBAs applying to be constables, engineers applying to be peons, 25 lakh people applying for 6,000 posts. We see these headlines repeatedly and yet no one finds it strange anymore. It's the sad reality that we live in. If you want jobs, go to the government to get one. This mood is reflective in Bihar as well. As a part of their election promises, the NDA and Mahagathbandhan both promised more government jobs when they come to power.
हम लोगों ने जनता के सामने प्रण लिया है, संकल्प लिया है कि ऐसा कोई परिवार नहीं जिस परिवार के पास अगर सरकारी नौकरी है और जिन परिवार के पास सरकारी नौकरी नहीं है उन परिवार को एक सरकारी नौकरी तेजस्वी देगा.
That's Tejasvi Yadav saying if the Mahagathbandhan comes to power, one person in every house in Bihar will get a job. That's about 2.8 crore jobs, by the way. Well, they lost badly, but then we have the NDA, which is promising 1 crore new jobs.
सबसे पहले है हर युवा को नौकरी और रोजगार देना. 1 करोड़ से अधिक सरकारी नौकरी रोजगार प्रदान करना.
Even before I start this video, let me just say that this is ridiculous. Did you know that the total number of people employed by the central government is, wait for it, 36.5 lakh. Even in the state of Bihar itself, the total number of people employed by the state government right now comes to 23 lakh. So 1 crore jobs in Bihar alone. How and why? Do you remember this?
ये मंत्र है मिनिमम गवर्नमेंट, मैक्सिमम गवर्नेंस. ये एफिशिएंट और इफेक्टिव गवर्नेंस का मंत्र है.
Prime influencer Narendra Modi used to tell us that he is going to reduce the size of government and increase efficiency. But now he and his party are doing the opposite. Their alliance is promising 1 crore government jobs in Bihar. Again, how and why? This is a video about why Indians are dying to work for the government. This is a video about how all governments are clueless about how to handle unemployment. This is a video about how giving more government jobs to more people is a bloody terrible idea. On that, I have a bunch of thoughts. Let's face it, this is what India is. Absolute chaos. Just 5 years ago, we saw how fellow Indian citizens were forced to walk for days to go back home during the pandemic. Just imagine for a second what that must have been like. One day you're working hard at a construction site. Next day you are told to either stay at your temporary housing or go back to the state where you came from. A singular government decision can upturn the lives of the most vulnerable people in our society. All it takes is one health emergency, one illness, one accident, and an entire family can be pushed back into desperate poverty. Chaos. that is the feature of our country. That is what our country is. We can't make plans because you never know what non-biological diktat will come your way tomorrow from up above. So it's simple. Indians for decades have been in search of stability. They want to counter this chaos. They need security. How does one do that? Okay, just imagine a government office. What do you see? Bored people coming in late, sitting on their desks doing menial clerical tasks. The atmosphere is quiet and uninteresting. If you have been to one of these places, you will notice that it's an environment that is devoid of any excitement, any sort of movement. There is a meme on it as well. Yeah, the sloth is what defines government, honestly. You see, the government office is designed to be a counter to the chaos outside. The bureaucracy within these offices have one singular task: keep your head down and maintain the status quo. No private job or temporary gig can promise the security that you get from a government job today. And you know what? All of this is by design, quite literally. This is Article 311 of the Constitution of India. It says, no person employed in civil capacities under the union or state shall be dismissed or removed except after an enquiry. Translation? Well, once you get in government, you cannot be fired. Unless you commit a crime that is so bad that even your minister who has been blessing you all along can't really save you. Yeah, you can't be fired. You can be transferred, you can be given warnings, you can be temporarily suspended, or maybe given a punishment posting in the jungles of Jharkhand. But you cannot be fired. Article 311 is like the God clause for our bureaucrats. It provides a job guarantee for life in our government. Let that sink in for a bit. What the government offers goes beyond just job security here. It is almost like job immortality, infinite stability, and after you retire, you get a pension as well. Meanwhile, in the private sector, well, chaos. Yeah, not great. Chances are, if you're a person who is working in the private sector, this is giving you anxiety. But yeah, you can be fired at any moment. But not in government. Nope. This job immortality is one reason for the obsession that our people have for government. And there is economic logic behind it as well. The average casual worker in rural India earns about 138 rupees a day. In comparison, a central public sector employee makes 2000 rupees plus a day, with free housing, medical pension, and a lifetime supply of respect. That's roughly 15 times more money plus infinite stability. Why would anyone risk the chaos of capitalism when the state literally pays you to stay as it is and practically do nothing? In fact, it pays you not to disrupt shit and let things as they are. Yeah, we'll come to that. But look at this. According to the 7th Pay Commission, the lowest ranked government employee earns 18,000 rupees a month. For officers at the entry level, the salary is 58,000 rupees per month. A joint secretary gets 1.8 lakh, secretary 2.25 lakh, and cabinet secretary, which is the highest rank, will get 2.5 lakh rupees a month. Compare this to a corporate job. A new joinee will get somewhere between 25,000 and 2.5 lakh a month. I mean, it's a wild range there, I know. It gets wilder the higher you go. Middle manager 80,000 to 5.8 lakh. Senior manager 2.5 lakh to 25 lakh. And CEO will get anything between the range of 12.5 lakh to 2.5 crore a month. If you compare these two, you would think,
Hey, corporate job seems nice. Yeah, I mean, look at how much money you can earn. 2.5 crore? Are you kidding me? That seems nice.
there is more possibility of earning a buttload of money in the private sector. Of course, there is. But just think about the perks that come with a government job. First, you can't get fired and you'll get promoted if you just sit there and do nothing and don't ruffle any feathers. Number 2, you will get government housing, car, driver, staff, subsidized phones, medical benefits for you and your family, pension, and a lot more. Third, and this is most important, you get clout, you get power. Okay, all of this is great. Simple points, very intuitive, but on this channel, we go deep. Let me ask you this. Have you ever thought about why it is this way? Why does Article 311, this God clause, even exist? Why does the bureaucracy exist even? It's time for a super deep cut on this video. Yeah, so subscribe for this content first. Subscribe for best content on the Indian internet. ऐसे videos कोई नहीं करता है. Lamba lamba. Also, please watch. Okay, now let us Here's a question. Why does the government exist? Why do we need this gigantic system full of bureaucrats, or as we like to call them in India, babus, to run our society? German sociologist Max Weber figured this out about 100 years ago. He called bureaucracy the most rational form of administration ever devised by man. Rational because it runs on rules, hierarchies, and procedures, not whims, emotions, or sometimes even common sense. It's cold and calculating, what he said there. Weber further says, bureaucracy constitutes the most efficient, rational way in which human activity can be organized, and that systematic processes, organized hierarchies are necessary to maintain order, maximize efficiency, and eliminate favoritism. Bureaucracy, especially our Indian version of BABUDOM, is obsessed with maintaining order. In a society like India with 1 billion plus people going about their lives, a single decision can have chaotic and unpredictable effects. I mean, the lockdown is only one example, but think about demonetization. One guy on TV says, oh, all your currency is useless now, and chaos. It can even be catastrophic. I mean, people literally die also. So, to prevent such chaos, or to be a counter to all of this chaos, the Babudom's first instinct is to do what has always been done, which is do nothing. Especially nothing new. Don't do anything new. Just hone do. Let it happen and watch.
Yes. All currency gone. What do we have to do now? Oh, okay. We have to exchange it. Oh, we have to replace the new currency in all ATMs overnight. Cool. We'll of course. और क्या option ही क्या है? Like करेंगे. We'll do it. Yes, Modi ji, yes.
As I said, the goal here is stability and maintaining order. So bureaucrats have come up with a clever way to do it through repetition, with a lot of paperwork on top of it. Everyone in a government office will come in every day and do repeated tasks, day in and day out. There will be procedures and rules that everyone will have to follow. They're expected to follow without thinking too much about what they are really doing, until it becomes a habit which counters chaos and makes things predictably boring. There is this old British show called Yes Prime Minister, highly recommended, by the way, one of my favorite shows. There is this bureaucrat called Sir Humphrey. He explains the system quite nicely. He says the Prime Minister holds power, Ministers have responsibility. Fortunately, the civil service retains control. Government isn't about good and evil, it is about order and chaos. By the way, a bit of a sidetrack. Speaking of British bureaucrats, did you know the current system of bureaucracy is a gift to us from our old erstwhile colonial masters, the British? Yes, between 1858 and 1947, the British implemented an administrative system called the Indian Civil Service, or ICS. This system was implemented right after the 1857 rebellion. You know, the one with Mangal Pandey? Yeah, that one. Which came close to toppling the British Raj. Essentially, the British realized that the only way to control a chaotic, rebellious bunch of colonial population is to implement a system that is obsessed with maintaining order. Clive Dewey, a historian, said this about the ICS. In their heyday, Indian Civil Service, were mostly run by Englishmen with a few notable sons of Hindus and even fewer Muslims, were the most powerful officials in the empire, if not the world. A tiny cadre, a little over 1,000 strong, ruled more than 300 million Indians. The Indian Civil Service directed all the activities of the Anglo-Indian state. So, there were European overlords who had some Indian bureaucrats under them, which helped them rule over India. The ICS had the responsibility of maintaining law and order, and they were the ones who fought with our freedom fighters on the ground, crushing their anti-national activities, which were against the British. You get it? अब नहीं होता ये सब. अब नहीं होता ये सब. Jawaharlal Nehru often ridiculed the ICS for its support of British policies. He famously defined the ICS as something with which we are unfortunately still afflicted in this country, as neither Indian nor civil nor a service. That's good old Nehru for you, showing the big middle finger to the bureaucracy and fighting the man in a classy way. And then when we got independence, our forefathers, including Nehru, decided to retain this organization and changed it to Indian Administrative Service, or IAS. Now, this is what frustrates me so much whenever I think about it. The name changed from ICS to IAS, but the objective didn't. In short, our bureaucracy under the British was never really meant to serve the public. It was meant to control the public. What do you think their job is now? मैं कुछ नहीं बोल रहा है. I mean, I guess it's the same. Back to Max Weber. He calls this the iron cage. A system so efficient that it ends up trapping its own people inside. Everyone in this cage is expected to maintain the status quo, let things be as they are. The giant machine needs stability, but this stability often turns into comfort and stagnation, decay even. Okay, let me show you a real life version of all of this in action. Take a look at this clip. This is IPS officer Hina, who stopped a random belligerent Hindutva warrior from celebrating his birthday in the middle of the road. No, seriously. I mean, I love how she goes all Jai Shri Ram on his ass, but there's a deeper message here. Actions like these, which show bureaucrats literally doing their jobs, they go batshit viral. Have you noticed? Officers like Hina Khan are then celebrated. They're hailed as heroes. Oh my god, look, this bureaucrat is doing amazing things. These clips go viral because they are very rare. They're so very rare. What they essentially show is one person, one bureaucrat, refusing to give in to the inertia, and we just lose our shit collectively. That's the level of decay we have reached. When a bureaucrat simply does their job, it feels like an act of rebellion. Just look up Ashok Khemka IAS officer transfer. No, seriously. do it. He is a bureaucrat who has been transferred 57 times in 34 years because he rebelled against the great big BABUDOM. He wanted to bring in efficiency wherever he was posted. He was exposing corruption within the bureaucracy, but then he was met with insane resistance at every step and eventually with a transfer order. Since they couldn't fire him, Article 311, they tried to put him into a corner and where he just can't cause any damage. In short, our bureaucracy has not been designed to solve problems. It has been designed to run things as they are. If there are any changes that happen, they happen really slowly and almost forcefully. I mean, just take a look at any government website today. It looks like someone designed it 10 years ago and just left it that way. There are thousands of options available out there which would make them smoother, more efficient, prettier looking, and just better functioning. But the bureaucracy won't do that for at least 10 more years, and by then even that would be outdated. This situation, what I just described, is a bit of a paradox. I mean, think about it this way. You and I, the citizens of India, want change. But the people who are supposed to bring about that change and solve our problems are resisting change of any kind just to maintain order. And the worst part is, literally, lakhs of people are desperate to become a part of this babudom every year. Remember this. Yeah, the desperation is real. It's very real and scary. Now answer this. How the does this make sense? Yeah, why do so many people want to do this? One obvious answer, which I told you already, is stability and security. Of course. But I think it goes deeper than that. And it's called... Let's talk about the real market that decides the value of a man and a woman in India. The marriage market. In this market, your price tag is not decided by your personality. It's about your job title and how stable it is. People with government jobs are top dogs, the alphas in this food chain. In 2022, matchmaking platform Shadi.com did a survey to find out what is desirable in a potential spouse, considering factors like profession, age, income, and location. I don't think you'll be surprised by the results, honestly. They found that the most eligible male works in the civil services and most eligible female is a law enforcement officer. This is followed by tech jobs, pilots, and architects. Why does this happen? Because of the log kya kahenge syndrome.
What will people say if you marry a loser, unemployed person, beta? Log kya kahenge?
In a poor, caste-ridden society like ours, the first step to starting a family is risk management. Romance is strictly secondary. Romance is a privilege, actually. In other words, every parent with a marriage-worthy child is thinking, how do they find a partner who runs their household like a bureaucracy? Think about it. A sarkari job screams stability and certainty. You get a steady income, literally cannot be fired. You get a pension after retirement. And if the person doesn't do too much adventure in their job, if they quietly just melt into the existing administrative sludge where they are posted, then they also won't get transferred. Win-win. That situation is perfect for a household, because when you have all of this, then the couple can start popping out children. They can start a family, a happy family, and buy a flat in Noida also eventually to retire. There is a saying which you must have heard. सबको भगत सिंह चाहिए but पड़ोसी के घर में. Everyone wants a Bhagat Singh but in the neighbor's house. For their own kids, most Indian parents want insurance, security, stability. That's why you see engineers and MBAs queuing up for constable posts, not like to become revolutionaries. Because government jobs is marriage market gold. Just look at this headline from 1994. New generation of probationers see their jobs as a passport to higher bids in dowry market. Here's a quote from an IRS officer, Neeraj Singh, batch of 1993. I paid 18 lakh rupees for my sister's wedding, and since I'm in the civil services, I will command my price. I will take at least 25 lakh rupees. Yeah, IRS officer Manish Chandra has this to say. The rates for an IAS and IPS officers from Bihar are astronomically high. Parents की तो lottery लग जाती है. The parents of these male officers literally hit a jackpot. Sounds weird, doesn't it? It kind of makes you feel queasy inside. It's like, ew, doesn't it? Now, just a slight reminder which might make this feeling intensify. I'm sorry. These are quotes from 30 years ago. 30 years ago. These people now must be a high-level officers who are still in the administration doing their thing. Probably in secretary positions now. Oh my god. Queasy. But when you think about it, the situation hasn't really changed in 2025. And there's a generational reason this thinking won't die. A lot of today's parents didn't have security growing up. They watched one illness or one freaky weather event shove entire families back into debt. Government jobs solve that problem. And pension is one big factor behind this obsession as well. In the public imagination, Sarkar will take care of you for a lifetime. Sarkari still equals post-retirement safety. On top of it, there is caste. We live in a society which decides how much dignity you get as a human being based on your birth. So, government employment turns into an escape hatch from that harsh reality for a lot of people. Getting a government job gives dignity and respect to a person from backward castes. Surname matters less when it's put on a nameplate that sits on a mahogany table with a chair and a white towel on top of it. Yes. Power. Definition of power. Which explains why in Bihar both parties were promising government jobs this election with such enthusiasm. But even here, even in that state, the truth is a little uncomfortable. Just look at the Bihar caste survey. The general category is 15.5% of the population but holds 31% of government jobs. OBCs are 27% of the population but only 1.7% of the government jobs. SCs are 19.6% of the state but 1.13% in government jobs. EBCs are 36% in the state and just 0.98% in government jobs. STs 1.7% of the population and 1.37% in government. In other words, the government job is equal to dignity ladder does exist on paper, but the people who really need it, most of them aren't getting it. And this is why reservation politics is permanently a hot topic in India. Since the private sector is a hit or a miss, state employment becomes the only reliable bet for escaping your caste reality. The number of positions in government are very less. There are a lot of people who want those positions, and that's why you need reservations. In summation, every person who wishes to start a family is looking at a government job as a practical and strategic decision. Selfish even. And I totally get that. Honestly, I do. I have nothing against the people who want to get into the bureaucracy. A lot of them are doing it because there is no other option. On top of it, a government job gives you power. You get an official position to lord around people. And if you are someone who has not been given the dignity your entire life because of a stupid coin toss of birth, then I can imagine how goddamn attractive this proposition is. But now I want to flip the script a little bit. Okay, I have to say this. From this point forward, the video might make you a little bit uncomfortable because I'm going to show you a side which you might not like. I'm going to ask some questions which you might not like. The question is, does India need more government employees? Is this really what our society needs? Or should we rethink this whole system, this whole thing, and actually reduce the size of government? Brace yourself because we need to talk about a magical non-biological concept presented by Prime Influencer of India, Shri Sir Adarniya Supreme Leader Narendra Ji Modi Ji, first of his name himself. Let's talk about
ये मंत्र है मिनिमम गवर्नमेंट मैक्सिमम गवर्नेंस.
Minimum government, maximum governance. This is a line Prime Influencer repeated when he came to power in 2014. Don't know about you, but when I heard this line for the first time, I interpreted it in the following way. Number 1, reduce the size of government by having less employees. Number 2, remove the excess to make it more efficient. Number 3, add to the efficiency of the government by using technology. In short, what I thought Modi ji wanted to do is to operate our government like a CEO who maximizes efficiency, not as a human resource manager. It is a decent thought because let's face it, our government does have a lot of bloat in it. It does not work properly even today. I mean, just look around you. Broken infrastructure, stalled projects, horrible air, insane rents, unaffordable housing, crumbling law and order, and a million other basic things which the government is supposed to do properly but doesn't. So it's not working. The big question we need to ask is, if there is an inefficient system that is in place, that is already in place, will throwing more human beings at it make it more efficient? In 2014, Modi ji was like,
No, this doesn't work for me. Minimum government, maximum governance it is. I don't like this. I don't think this is a good idea.
huh. So what happened to that in 2025? Modi ji, if minimum government was the plan, why is the central government workforce larger today than it was 2 years ago? We went from roughly 3.17 million employees in 2023 to about 3.56 million in 2024. The sanctioned posts are still hovering around the 4 million mark. So even today, the total vacancies haven't exactly been filled. And that's why our netas are able to dangle this government job carrot in front of our faces, our young, desperate faces. This is precisely what is happening in Bihar. The NDA alliance is promising 10 million jobs, 1 crore jobs. In short, they want more people to be in Bihar government than even the central government. If this plan is put into action, then the state budget of Bihar will have to be increased by at least 30%, from 3 lakh crore rupees to 4.5 lakh crore rupees, just to pay the salaries of all of these new employees and their perks. Of course, who can forget the perks? They need perks. And Bihar is not the only state that is facing this problem. Telangana CM Revanth Reddy is having trouble in real time as we speak. He admitted that the state had to take 4,000 crore loan from RBI just to pay salaries to existing employees.
Made all kinds of promises before you were elected, all the guarantees of the Congress. 4,000 rupees, for example, will be provided to unemployed youth. You made promises for farmers, for agriculture labor, and you are struggling to balance the budget.
आज मेरा स्टेट इनकम इज 18,500 crores per month. I have to pay salaries and pension 6,500 crores. I have to pay per month 6,500 crores on these debts and interest, capital and interest. So 13,000 crores if you are eating, if you are not eating, you are chai piye ya nahi piye, I have to pay 13,000 crores on before 10th. Only I am getting 5,500 crores for all this welfare and development. This is what is Telangana status. It is not that Telangana is doing good.
So this government job handout is not just a Narendra Modi problem or a product of Narendra Modi. It is a countrywide problem in multiple states. Is anyone stopping to ask whether having so many people in government is a good idea? I mean, if merely hiring people solved problems, we would all have affordable housing, less potholes on the street, mountains of garbage in the city will vanish, and kids would not die of oxygen shortage. We would be a tip-top pristine country. But that is not happening, is it? It's not. Why isn't it happening? There is something off. On that, I have a bunch of thoughts. So, in conclusion, I want you to think about 3 questions. 1. Do we need these many people in government? 2. Are the people who are currently hired doing the right job? 3. Are the current employees capable of doing the job that they have been given? Let's start with the first one. Do we need these many people in government? Here is the problem. Our BABUDOM is a machine that scales input by filling up posts and seats, but doesn't scale output, which is by offering services that actually reach real life human beings. And once this post is filled, they try to create more work for themselves to justify their existence. In 1995, historian C. Parkinson published an essay in The Economist where he proposed this. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion, which means the number of workers within bureaucracy tends to grow regardless of the amount of work that is being done. This happens because of two factors. 1. Officials want subordinates, not rivals. And 2. Officials make work for each other to justify their existence and their jobs. So, if there is one form to be filled to complete one task, bureaucracy adds unnecessary layers on top of it and makes people fill 3 forms, which will be checked by 3 different people in 3 different departments. Then each department will also have support staff. Then that support staff will be running around between departments, taking one form to the other, one file to the other. You see how that is working? The bureaucrats checking the forms will then create 2 other procedures that need to be followed, and then those will go to more departments and then more support staff which will be running around. And that is a government office where, that's sad when you think about it. All of this is work being expanded to fill time. This is called the Parkinson's law. Look it up. In short, there is a high chance that our government, both center and state, has fallen victim to this, and it might not be a great idea to add more people to government. Okay, second question. Are the people who are currently hired doing the right job? Most probably no. Currently, our government is bloated in middle management, but understaffed on the ground. We don't have enough frontline workers, doctors and nurses being the biggest example of this. The current nurse to population ratio of 1 nurse per 670 persons is significantly below the WHO's recommended 1:300. There is nearly 80% shortage of specialist doctors at the community health centers across rural India. Currently, we are seeing a severe shortage of teachers. And it's worse in a state like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. On top of it, in West Bengal, there was this instance of 25,000 teachers being sacked because they were caught in a recruitment scam. Remember that? Oh, and in Odisha, 6,000 teachers were temporarily hired because there is a crippling shortage. Things like this keep happening. The mota problem is that there are very few people that end up getting these specialized frontline skills, and even fewer that end up getting hired by the government. So instead, the state keeps adding more middle management pencil pusher types who keep creating work for themselves to justify their existence. And there are less people hired who are actually providing the output, the services to us. Third question, are the current employees capable of doing the job that they have been given? This is a tricky one. The thing is, when people join the government, they are full of enthusiasm and motivation. I know a few of them as well. Duniya badal denge types, ekdam. But then the bureaucracy hits them in the face, gives them a desk to sit behind and grind those forms, dashboards and processes, and make shitty outdated websites that don't function, of course. At least that's what it looks like from the outside to me. I might not be the correct person to judge this, but it's still a question worth asking, and it is directly linked to the promises of hiring more people in work. Here's a wild thought. Why don't you find an answer for this? Yes, you. I'm directly looking at you. Yes, you find an answer for this. Find your nearest government employee and understand what they do. Put on your management hat and then imagine what would happen if they did the same thing in a private sector job. Again, I'm not saying all government employees are useless pencil pushers. I would be very wrong to say that. But there are a lot of them out there who are. Maybe it's time to find them. Maybe it's time to find out if they need to be in those jobs and whether the taxpayer needs to pay their salaries and perks. Maybe leave a comment in the description below if you are a bureaucrat who is watching this, who right now hates me and wants to justify their job. I know you're watching. And I'm sorry about this. Truly. I didn't mean to cause any personal hurt, my BABUDOM friends. But still, it's a thought worth thinking about, is what I think. Bureaucrats are very powerful. I don't want to mess with them. I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope you think about this, dear viewer. Really think about this. I feel like we don't talk about our bureaucratic setup enough. When we see politicians offer more jobs, when you see all these promises being made before elections, we don't even think about the consequences of what would it do to our society. I feel we really need to ask whether so many government jobs need to exist in the first place. And why do our elected politicians use this as a get out of jail free card, where they don't need to solve an unemployment problem because government jobs, take it. I, for one, would like to see this whole system undergo a reform. But that won't happen if we don't even acknowledge it as a problem. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. More bunch of thoughts coming your way. Please subscribe. Amazing content I do. Thanks. Friends, thank you so much for watching this video. I have an announcement. I am doing a new show. It is a stand-up show. Kind of. It is called How to Lose an Election. If you remember, I fought the Delhi elections this year in January and lost very badly. But it was quite an adventure. So what I decided was that I need to tell this story to a lot of people. I need to tell them what it takes to fight an election and how frustrating it is, because it is like a behind the scenes take on our Indian elections. So I have done it in the form of a stand-up show. It is hopefully funny. So come, I am going to multiple cities over the next 3 months. First I'm going to Mumbai, then I'm going to Bangalore, we have Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad, and I'm going to add more cities like Delhi, Gurgaon, Nagpur, Kolkata, and maybe Shillong. I want to go to Shillong. If there are any people from Shillong who want me to come, please niche dal do. Yeah, I don't know where the market is. I mean, I know where the market is. I don't know where the stand-up comedy market is per se. Anyway, ticket link is below. Please come. How to Lose an Election. Come listen to my adventure story and learn about bureaucracy. Because yes, this show is about bureaucracy as well. And vote chori. Thodusa. A little bit. Come. And thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.